East Palestine, Ohio. Remember that little town that got nuked because of incompetence and negligence because of dementia? Well, turns out that one whistleblower says, yeah, our response time? Yeah, we meant to do that. I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this is what's next. All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Jazz Berganzo here, your daily dose. What's next? Hope you guys are doing well as we begin a new week. East Palestine, Ohio. Remember that little town? You know, that train derailment and chemical spill, and let's burn the chemicals off and create a nuclear cloud and kill the fish and the animals and poison the water and hurt the people? Well, come on, that lasted about a good, 15 minutes? Yeah. What was ever done about it? Whatever happened to that little town? Oh, yes, they are suffering, and Biden just doesn't give a damn. Should be no surprise to anyone. But what should be a surprise is that someone from the administration has blown the whistle on why it took so long for them to get out there. Let's take a look. This comes out of the Post-Millennial. Watch. Department of Transit whistleblower tells Benny Johnson, podcaster, bungled response to East Palestine was politically motivated. Surprised. Anybody who's surprised by that is an idiot. Benny Johnson recently visited Washington, D.C. to film a practical joke where he went to headquarters of the Department of Transportation and set up a fake station to offer bottles of water, explaining it originated from East Palestine, Ohio, only to encounter a 25-year DOT veteran who told him that the bungled response to the February 3rd train derailment was politically motivated. Quote, I'm in Federal Railroad, the man said, explained that in the wake of the Norfolk Southern 50-car train derailment that released toxic chemicals into the East Palestine community, nobody panicked. Nobody scrambled. And it's like, why? Why aren't we taking this seriously? But before I show that, give a little background. That the man, under the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttplugs, department directs resources based on states' political leanings, and that the fact that the East Palestine voted for Trump by a 70% margin affected the government's response to crisis. Never let a good crisis go to waste. Quote, they'll step in. Well, we want this project because it's a blue state no matter how bad it is, the employee said, and explained that they appoint these leaders to each group, and then they make sure that the money will be directed. That it goes to a blue state, not a red state, Johnson asked. Right, the man said. Do you think this was politically motivated in East Palestine? His response? Yes. February 6, authorities began burning off the chemicals from the derailment to reduce a risk of vinyl chloride explosion. The two men discussed on how the government was instructed by the railroad to proceed in that manner. Residents returned home from their evacuation February 9th, only to find chemical odor remaining in the air and dead fish, river, and creeks. Johnson visited and said his eyes and mouth were stinging from whatever lingered. EPA Administrator Michael Reagan was asked if he would let his children drink the water, which authorities claimed was safe again, but residents worried it was contaminated, Reagan said. Yes, as a father, I trust the science because we all trust the science, don't we? The water Johnson handed out in D.C. was actually from Whole Foods. Yes, it was actually bottled water. The Department of Transportation worker also said, years ago they made a big fuss about trains carrying these chemicals and go through these urban areas, and now they reroute them through all these little towns. The worker explained that the maneuver did not get the attention in the press, but said, I was here 20 years. I know that they made a point to reroute these trains so all the little towns get the shaft. You didn't hear this from me. Of course not. Within the office there, they're saying that the derailments are down 15% since COVID. But we all know derailments are up. They're trying to paint the picture so as not to bring the harsh light, he said. He explained how the Department of Transportation was used derailment numbers from 20 and 21 when there were fewer trains running altogether because of COVID to normalize the false statistic. Gee, it's almost like fitting a narrative. The employee said that the current administration will make efforts to keep oil pipeline closed in Alaska, but trains are rolling through the middle America carrying all kinds of shit. Another revelation from the worker that there was once a regulation that required a human being to walk the tracks and ride over the track for a sake of inspection. But under Trump, the department transitioned to a better system with automatic inspection systems, computers on the vehicles. They measure, they shoot laser beams. It's a fact. They capture information. That's better. Gee, you almost like you want to protect the safety of human beings. This administration puts a hold on all that because it takes away from union jobs, the man said. Yeah, I'm not surprised. The man said earlier the conversation that the Buttigieg has his own dining room and that he rarely shows up to work unless they're having a party or something. Gee, like take a walk in the park with his partner. And then they come and then they do what they come around and they make sure that there's enough people in the office that day so he has people to greet, he said, and called it all an elaborate production. But we're going to hear a little bit from Benny Thompson.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Benny. What happens when your practical joke actually ends up uncovering a massive bombshell news story? Earlier this week, we staged a fake water station in front of the Department of Transportation in Washington, D.C. We gave out water bottles. These water bottles were from Whole Foods. The joke was that they were from East Palestine, the tap water that the Department of Transportation poisoned. We wanted to see what people's reaction would be to being offered East Palestine water. Now, as we were filming the reactions and the security guards pushing us away from the building, a news story dropped directly into our lap, and all it took was a bottle of water. A Department of Transportation employee walked up to our table. He had a badge on. He's a 25-year veteran of the Department of Transportation. And he began to spill incredible amounts of information about what the DOT was doing. He told us about how the Department of Transportation was allocating resources based on the politics of a state, blue state versus red state.
Shocker.
He told us about the bungling of the train incident and told us about open politicization and criminality inside of the department under Pete Buttigieg. Moral people trapped in immoral systems eventually break. They have to shout the things that are going on. They have to tell someone. And this person decided to walk up to our table and tell us. We pray that there will not be any retaliation to this employee, and we've gone out of our way to hide this person's identity. What you're about to watch is a raw video from the streets of Washington, D.C., out front of the Department of Transportation.
We're not going to show you the entire conversation, but pretty much, I'm sure Benny just broke it down for the gist.
Free water from East Palestine? Sir! Sir, I saw that knowing glance. That's why I'm right here. I know, they kicked me out. Yeah, they won't let me stand in front of the building.
That's all it took was a bottle of water.
Why isn't he drinking it?
He has his own dining, did you know he has his own dining room? No way. He don't eat with the plebes. He doesn't eat with the rest of us.
Plebes.
His own dining room.
Not surprising.
You see him. He shows up just so like if you have a party or something, and what they do is they come around and they want to make sure there's enough people in the office that day so that he has people to greet. It's all an elaborate production.
Wow. Yeah. Unbelievable.
This building's 3/4 empty.
These federal government buildings are all empty. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I lived in D.C. for a long time. I'm aware.
Shocker.
You walk through it, it's like a ghost town.
Yeah. I'm in Federal Railroad, and
I don't get it.
Nobody panicked. There's no scramble. It's like, why?
Dude.
Why aren't we taking this serious?
Yo, I got to tell you, we went there, like right away, and it was bad.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
The eyes were stinging, the mouth was stinging, and we were seeing these little kids. I'm like, man, this sucks. And I don't care where you come from politically. No kids should live like,
United States.
Yeah. Even like conservatives, a lot of Republicans.
It's like a third world country in East Palestine right now.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be subjective or objective.
Mm-hmm.
They'll step in. Well, we want this project because it's a blue state. So no matter how bad it is, so they appoint these leaders of each group, and then they make sure the money will be recommended. That's how it works.
That it goes to a blue state, not a red state. So you think this was politically motivated in East Palestine? Yeah. It was
My thoughts. Not surprising. It took this long. That was February 3rd. Response time, February 9th? And now we are at March 27th. And it took, Benny Johnson to do this over the weekend to get a response. And you get the same shitty responses from Dementia and butt plugs, which of course they haven't mentioned East Palestine, Ohio in weeks? But yet it took Benny Johnson, podcaster, to go out there and just do a simple, hey, anybody want free water? And that's all it took for someone to spill the beans and say, yeah, this is the shit that goes on. Of course, it's politically motivated. Anyone who thinks otherwise is a fool, a buffoon, a moron, a cretin. Then again, you would fit in right with dementia. I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more just like this? Please have a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it. Make sure you hit the notification bell, so that way you never miss a thing. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.